Hi, Year 10, Mr. Lloyd here. Now, I know some of you mentioned on the India case study that a number of the keywords and terminology was quite difficult. So this is hence this lesson this week, looking at the keywords to do with the India NEE case study. So if you've completed your keyword sheet, try and add to those and tweak any of your answers to make them better. If you haven't for any reason yet completed it, if you can use this video to complete the boxes and complete the sheet that I've put on Show My Homework. So first of all, NEE I completed for you. These are those countries in the middle ground, those rapidly growing countries on the way to becoming HICs. So the main ones we said were the BRIC countries, which were Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Onto our HICs. These are our most developed countries, the countries that are rapidly developing. And then on the opposite side, we've got our LICs, those countries at the bottom that have a lot of poverty and issues and struggle to develop. So there's the first three keywords. Development. The word develop itself actually means to get better, to improve. So we go through baby development, where we learn to talk, walk, read, write. That's all development. In terms of a country, we're looking at the development of infrastructure, development of roads, development of schools, development of health. So development means to get better. And in terms of countries, we said that's improving the standard of life and the quality of life that people lead. Economic. Economic is the wealth and finance and money side of a country. So anything to do with money, that is economic. Next, social. That is to do with society and people. So anything to do with society and mainly people, that is social. For example, social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it may be. These are all social media platforms where there are people on them. So social means people. Cultural. Cultural is the beliefs, the background, the religion, the things that make a country different in the way that people are. So when we looked at India's culture, we said distinctive food, spice-based, distinctive movies, Bollywood, distinctive music. So they're the things that make India different from other countries. And environmental is looking at nature and the physical surroundings. So nature is the word you're looking for in there. On now to the next keyword, trade. Trade is when you buy and sell something. It's usually a mutual agreement between a country, and you might do it with friends. You trade stuff. So I'll give you my Xbox, and in return, I'll swap you for that laptop that you've got. So that is a trade you can make. There's sometimes money involved, or it can be goods that are swapped between countries. Exports are things that exit. If you get the next two words, exports and imports, wrong, just remember that EX, the start of exports, is exit, and IM is like the word in. That's things coming into a country. So exports is things that exit a country, things that you sell to other countries, things that like exit your house. If you sold something to somebody else, exports are things that leave a country. Imports are things that come into a country, things that you buy in and bring in because you haven't got them in your country or you get them cheaper from another country. Moving on, investment. So investment is when it can be a country or a company invest money into another country or another company. So they put money into another country to help it improve, but also knowing that they're going to make some money out of it in the long term. GDP stands for Gross Domestic Product. And that is the total value of goods that are and services that are produced by a country in a year and sold. So it's how much money basically a country makes from its products, gross domestic products. How many products do they produce and how much money do they get from selling those? Last one, unsustainable. So unsustainable, this is when the current population is living beyond its demand. It's using up too many resources. It's causing too much pollution, spoiling the environment. So these are things that don't leave the planet in a good state for future generations. So unsustainable is not leaving the planet in a good state for future generations. Sustainable would be leaving the planet in a good way for future generations. Next, we've got the 4 different sectors here from one of our mid lessons when we looked at the sectors that India was in. We've got the primary sector. So primary sector is getting the raw materials out of the ground. So these are jobs like farming, fishing, mining, etc. Secondary sector, this is then taking those raw materials and turning it into a product. So this is your manufacturing and industries and production lines producing something. So you take the metal out of the ground and the secondary sector will be producing it into a car. Tertiary sector, this is the services and sales sector. So this is now selling that car that's been produced and the services that go with that, the phone call centres in India, etc. And last but not least in these sectors, the quaternary sector. These are those high-end research into things like IT, robotics, medicine, etc. These are normally done in HIC countries. Moving on, we've got the TAPI pipeline. So this is the pipeline that is currently being built as we speak, and it's going to carry natural gas across between Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India. And that's what the TAPI stands for, Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India pipeline. Next one, TNC, transnational corporation. Make sure you don't put company for this last one. I've seen a few people put company. It's transnational corporation. So these are your big companies that operate in more than one country. Google, Apple, Nike, Adidas, Unilever is the one that we looked at for India. So these are all TNCs. They usually have their headquarters in the rich countries and they have their manufacturing in the poorer countries. And we used Apple as an example and said it says on the back of an iPhone, designed in California, produced in China. FDI is foreign direct investment. So this is when foreign companies directly invest and put money into another country. So Unilever is putting money into India and helping improve India and also making money in India. They are an example of putting an FDI, putting foreign direct investment into India. Moving on, inequality. So inequality is when things are not equal, when the wealth of a country is unfairly distributed. So in India, you've got a few very rich people, and at the opposite end, you've got a lot of people in poverty, and you've got a couple of people in the middle ground. That is inequality. The wealth is unequally split. Remember, we said 20% of people live in extreme poverty, yet you've got mega wealthy people who own a lot of these businesses. Aid. So aid is help given from one country to another. We said this could be money, but it's not always have to be money. It could be that doctors are sent, medicine is sent, equipment is sent. So it's anything that is sent and given to another country and not expected back in return. You don't expect anything back for aid. There were 4 types of aid that we looked at, and they're here. So first of all, short-term aid. This is quick aid given immediately to cope with things like disasters. So for example, there was the floods and landslides in 2017. Short-term aid was giving them food, water, and money to cope with their floods. Long-term aid is development projects, things that will help the country in the longer term. So this is things like building schools, building hospitals, building research centres, things that will help the country in the long term but don't happen overnight. Next, top-down aid. This is where money is given to the government or charities and they decide where in the country they spend that money. Bottom-up aid is the opposite. You give the money to local people and local charities and they decide where the money is spent. Last few. So we're on to now quality of life. So quality of life is things that are sort of the life quality of people, the things that make your life good. So we're talking about health, work, finance, personal development, relationships, etc. It's the things that make your life happy is the quality of life. So we use an example there of you could be the richest person in the world. But if you've got poor health, no relationships, no family around you, that does not mean you are a happy person just because you've got all the money in the world. So we said quality of life brings in a lot of things together, including money, social side, etc. Literacy rate. So literacy rate is the percentage of people in a country or an area that can read or write. Life expectancy is the average age that somebody is expected to live to in a certain country. So it's usually an average, and it's the average age that somebody lives in a country. Somebody once thought on this that life expectancy was the age that you live to. So just because the life expectancy is 70 in a country doesn't mean that on your 70th birthday, you're going to sing happy birthday and then fall dead into your cake. Life expectancy is an average. Some people will live longer than the average. Some people will live shorter, but it's an average age that people live to in a country. Infrastructure, nearly at the end, this is the last one now. So infrastructure is the buildings and systems in place to help a country run. So this is things like roads, pipes, power supplies, schools, hospitals, the things that help a country run. That is infrastructure. So there's all your keywords defined. Like I said, please go through and improve any keywords or any missing words you've got. Hopefully that helps. If you have any issue with any of these keywords, please let me know, and I'm more than happy to help. And again, thank you so much for all the people who've submitted some amazing work. Thank you for all the amazing comments that you've been giving. And thank you so much for the work that you've been completing on the India topic. Thank you very much. Mr. Lloyd, over and out.